Welcome, yogis. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. I hope you enjoy today's class. We're going to be doing a lot of different variations of warrior, and you'll notice a slightly different perspective to today's class, which is good because we have a tendency to get comfortable with just one view of yoga, and we forget that there's many different planes to pay attention to. Hope you enjoy. So we will start today in hero's pose. And in a traditional hero's pose, you would allow your hips to sink in between the heels with the knees together. That's quite uncomfortable for me and my knees, so I usually sit on my ankles. You can prop yourself up even further by sitting on a block. As you settle into hero's pose, I want you to think about having a nice long spine. Inhaling and reaching out through the crown of the head. Exhaling, relax the shoulders away from the ears. Squeeze the belly button to the spine for support. Continue to breathe. Maybe start to add that Ujjayi breath right off the bat, heating the body by using the breath before we even get started with movement. If you're not familiar with that style of breathing, you can practice by inhaling through your nose, exhaling out your mouth as if you were trying to fog up a mirror or a window. Take one or two more breaths like that. And then on your next exhale, close the mouth. Continue to feel that heat in the mouth or that ha sound in the back of the throat, but the air actually leaves out the nose now. In through the nose, out through the nose. Feeling the heat in the mouth start to spread through the body. And using this type of breath throughout your practice, not only as a focal point to come back to, but also to add a release and relaxation in some of the more challenging poses. We'll take one more breath here. Relaxing in your hero's pose, enjoying the length in the lower back. On your next inhale, the hands rise up. And exhale, fold forward, coming into child's pose. Now again, you can adjust here if you'd prefer to have the knees wide in child's pose, or you can keep the knees together. Go ahead and walk the fingertips forward, coming into puppy dog, relaxing the forehead or the chin to the ground. And then feel that same extension in puppy dog, tuck the toes and push the hips back to your first down dog. Take your time here. Since we're just getting started, the legs are probably not warmed up yet, so feel free to keep the knees bent. Focus on having a nice long upper body, and as you flow through your practice today, you can start to extend the legs in down dog as they get a little bit more warm and flexible. Take a couple more breaths here, doing whatever feels good for you, whether that's walking the feet out, coming up onto the toes and then sinking back into the heels. And then we're going to slowly make our way to the front of the mat. And you can do that with a big step, or you can do it with a bunch of small steps, working with your breath, sinking the heels to the ground with each step. From forward fold, we're all going to swan dive as we inhale up, and then exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, swan dive down. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, release. And again, reverse swan dive, right back up to tall mountain. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, rise up. Find lots of length in the spine, not necessarily an extension or an arch. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. And release, let the head hang heavy. This time we're going to gently step back to plank. And on an exhale, squeeze the belly button to the spine. And then soften the knees, jump or step the feet forward. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, keep those bottom rib points squeezed in so that you don't overarch. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Fingertips can come to the shins. And release. Jump or step back. And this time we're going to flow through a vinyasa. So you can inhale up to up dog if you're ready for that, or you can take cobra instead. Everyone will meet in down dog. And then on an exhale, jump or step the feet forward. Forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, reach for the sky, squeeze the abs so you don't overarch, and then exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, release. Jump or step back and flow through your vinyasa. Chaturanga, up dog or cobra, and then exhale, push back to down dog. This time we're going to pick up one foot, keep the hips square, big toe pointed to the ground, and then exhale, bring that foot all the way through, windmilling the hands up into warrior two. So I like this view because you want to pretend like your body is in between two walls. So you're working in one plane and you don't want to touch either wall. So the hips are tucked under, the arms are nice and straight in one single line. Exhale, float back down and flow through chaturanga, back bend, and then down dog. Now remember those two walls in that plane. As you inhale, one foot comes up and bring it through, working on the other side. Windmill the hands up. Try to stack head on top of shoulders, shoulders on top of hips. The knee of the front leg is right on top of the ankle, and everything is in one nice long flat plane of existence. Hands windmill back down, and if you'd like to take another vinyasa, you can. Or you can just hold plank, and on an exhale, hips push back, jump or step to forward fold. Inhale, rise up, mountain. Exhale, hands to prayer. Inhale, grow tall. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, release, and jump or step back to plank or chaturanga. Inhaling, up dog or cobra. Exhale, down dog. Again, pick up one foot. Keep those hips square. Big toe rolls towards the ground, so you reach through the heel. And then exhale, bring it through, and windmill the hands up. Pretend you're in between two walls, keeping everything nice and flat. On an exhale, reverse your warrior, keeping the front knee bent deep, knee right on top of the ankle. And then on an exhale, shift the weight forward and come into extended side angle. Now you can keep the elbow on the knee for more support, or if you have the range of motion, you can reach the fingertips down to the ground, but make sure you're floating those fingertips, not putting a lot of weight on that bottom hand. Come back to warrior two, and then release to the ground and flow through your vinyasa. Finding down dog on the other side, pick up the foot, reach through the heel, and then exhale, step the foot in between the hands and windmill up. Warrior two. Taking a breath here to find that flat body, and then on an exhale, back hand slides down the back leg, opening up the front side body. Making sure to not cheat by extending the front leg, so tempting, and then shift forward and come into extended side angle. Again, maybe resting the elbow on the knee, or maybe going a little deeper by bringing the hand to the inside of the foot. But make sure if you do that your shoulders are still stacked and you're not sacrificing the top shoulder, letting it roll in order to reach the ground. Come back to warrior two just for a breath, and then release down. And hold plank, squeeze the belly button towards the spine. Take a vinyasa if you want. Otherwise, jump or step the feet forward, forward fold. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, hands to your heart center. Inhale. Exhale, fold forward, rounding at the last moment to get lots of extension in the hamstrings. Inhale, flatten the back. And then exhale, release, jump or step, flow through your vinyasa. Everyone meeting in down dog. Inhale, pick up one foot. Exhale, bring it all the way through. Windmill up, warrior two. Deep breath here. And then again, reverse your warrior. One more breath. This time we are going to extend the front leg. And then shift forward this time for triangle, reaching as far as you can out over the toes of the front leg. And then once you can't reach any further, just tilt the arms so that they're perpendicular with the ground. You can rest your hand on your shin or challenge yourself by floating the hand next to the leg. Come back to warrior two. And after a beat, go ahead and release the hands back down to the ground, flowing through chaturanga, cobra or up dog, and then down dog. Opposite side, pick the foot up, and then exhale, bring it all the way through. Windmill the hands up, find warrior two, and then reverse your warrior. Sink deep into the front leg first. And then when you're ready, extend the front leg. Notice how it feels different. Maybe it's challenging your balance just to make that adjustment and that movement. When you're ready, exhale to triangle. If you are resting your hand on your body, not a block, make sure your hand is either on your shin or your thigh, not on your knee. We don't want to put any pressure on our knee. Go ahead and exhale, come back to warrior two. And then windmill the hands back down to the ground. Take a vinyasa if you want, or just focus on having a nice strong body in plank. On an exhale, jump or step the feet forward, forward fold, and then inhale, come up to mountain, hands to your heart. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, fold. And notice how the stretch in your hamstring changes when you adjust from forward fold to half lift. Release and jump or step. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, one foot comes up. Exhale, sweep it through. Warrior two first. Reversing your warrior. Again, you can slide that back hand down the back leg, or you can try an unsupported reverse warrior where you take the back hand and you hook it around the back into the hip crease of the front leg. Go ahead and come into extended side angle. Again, your choice, elbow on the knee or reach down to the ground, or maybe even try a bind. But again, here in a bind, the shoulders are still stacked one on top of the other. Crown of the head is reaching straight towards the camera. We're not sacrificing any extension in the shoulders by reaching for the bind. Go ahead and release and step back to plank and flow through your vinyasa. Opposite side, inhale, the foot comes up, and exhale, bring it through. Windmill the hands up, finding warrior two. Take a breath, and then exhale, reverse your warrior, maybe challenging yourself by hooking that back hand into the hip crease of the front leg, going for the unsupported version. On an exhale, release and shift forward, finding extended side angle, maybe working towards the bind. I see a lot of people really trying for the bind and their shoulders drop towards the long edge of their mat. The crown of the head rolls towards their hips like they're trying to look at their hips, and they lose the extension in the shoulders. Release and come back to warrior two, and then release to the ground. Take a vinyasa or hold plank. We really want to make sure we're not sacrificing the intent of a pose just because we want to get into a more advanced version. Make your way back to forward fold, and then inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, release. And jumper step to plank or chaturanga. Inhaling up dog or cobra, and then exhale, down dog. Inhale, one foot comes up, and exhale, bring it all the way through. This time we're going to come up into warrior one, so the hips are going to stay square to the front of the mat this time. Those two imaginary walls that you were working with before, you can disregard them. From warrior one, go ahead and release the hands back down to the ground and flow through your vinyasa. So the difference between warrior one and warrior two should feel pretty distinct, especially in the hip of the back leg. From down dog, opposite side, inhale, the foot comes up, and then exhale, bring it through. Lift both hands up at the same time, coming into warrior one. You should really notice a distinct difference in the hip flexor of the back leg. This can be really challenging. If it's too challenging, simply walk the foot of the back leg out towards the outside edge of the mat. Release the hands back down to the ground, take a vinyasa, or just hold plank. And then everyone makes their way back to forward fold. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, prayer. Inhale, grow tall. Remember to keep the ribs squeezed in so you're not overarching in mountain. Exhale, fold, and then inhale, half lift. Release and jump or step back and flow through vinyasa. Finding our way to down dog. Inhale, one foot comes up. Hips are still square, toe still pointed down to the ground. Exhale, bring the foot through. Having heel to heel alignment for warrior one. And then release the floating hands behind your back, interlock the fingers, and draw the knuckles down the back thigh. So it's really easy here for us to overarch and maybe get into a deep back bend, but continue to squeeze with the abs so the ribs don't protrude too much. On an exhale, shift your weight forward so that you're rounding the crown of your head towards the ground. Shoulders are square to the ground with the shoulder floating inside the knee. Go ahead and roll yourself back up, warrior one, and then release to the ground and flow to your other side. On the other side, lift the opposite leg, and then exhale, bring it through. Heel to heel alignment, come up to warrior one, take a breath, and then release the hands behind, opposite thumb on top, drawing the knuckles down the back leg, making sure that you don't lock out and hyperextend the elbows. Keep a soft bend if you need to. Again, shift forward, bringing the shoulder to the inside of the knee, making sure you're not resting the upper body on the knee, relaxing the crown of the head to the ground, knuckles to the sky, or maybe dropping a little over your head, depending on your range of motion. Rise back up, warrior one, and then release to the ground. Take a vinyasa or just hold plank. Take a moment to exhale, squeeze the belly to the spine. On your next exhale, jump or step the feet forward and inhale, rise up. Exhale, back to prayer. Inhale, exhale, dive forward. Inhale, notice the change in how the back of the legs feel when you move to half lift. And then release and flow through your vinyasa. Find a nice long upper body in down dog. Inhale, pick up one foot. Exhale, bring it through. And rise up, warrior one again. This time, when the hands come behind, we're going to try to bring them into reverse prayer, or you can just butt the knuckles up against each other, or even reach elbow to elbow. Extend the front leg and shift your weight out over the front leg, coming into pyramid pose. Pausing for a moment with the body parallel to the ground to try to get a lot of extension in the spine before you release the crown of the head towards the knee. Release and come back to warrior one. Relax the hands to the ground. Inhale to plank and flow through your vinyasa, working towards the other side. From down dog, lift the opposite leg. Find that long line of energy out through the heel, and then exhale, bring the foot through, starting with warrior one on the other side. Take a breath in warrior one, and then release the hands behind the back into whatever variation works for you. Maybe try to open up the heart a little bit, bring the gaze to the sky, extend the front leg, and on an exhale, fold out over the front leg, making sure you do not hyperextend the knee of the front leg. So keep a gentle bend, or just release the hands to the ground so that you have a little bit of support in this pose. Come back up, sinking into the front leg, warrior one, and then release the hands to the ground and step to plank, either taking your vinyasa or holding a strong plank, and on an exhale, jumping or stepping the feet to forward fold. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back, and release. Jump or step back and flow through your vinyasa. Really squeeze the abs as you transition to down dog. Inhale, one leg comes up, and bring it through. Now we're going to do something a little bit funky on this side. So find warrior one first, and then point the fingers, maybe create a little bit of a back bend. Release the hands to the inside of the foot. And you're going to wrap the hands around that front leg and bring them into airplane arms, trying to balance while wrapped under the leg. Great practice for EPK if that's something that you're working towards. Go ahead and release, stepping back to plank. Flow through your vinyasa, shoulders away from the ears in up dog. Exhale, down dog. Opposite foot comes up, bring that foot through, and come up into warrior one. If you decide to wrap the fingers, opposite thumb on top, index finger to the sky, maybe a little bit of a back bend. It's okay if you want to continue reaching straight to the sky. And then release the hands to the inside of the leg. Hook that arm around the back of the calf and under the hamstring, and then extend the arms, airplane arms, trying to keep the arms parallel with the ground. If you need to come up onto the ball of the back foot for this, that's fine. Come back to warrior one and release. step to plank and flow through your vinyasa, or hold plank. And when you're ready, jump or step the feet forward. Inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, hands to your heart. So shifting gears, we are going to move into some balance. Take a few breaths here. Catch your breath and prepare. When you're ready, shift your weight onto one side and pick up one knee, bringing that knee forward. You can stay there and just challenge your balance, or you can grab a hold of the big toe in a yogi toe lock and extend the leg forward. Maybe bring it out to the side. It's okay if you wobble. It's okay if you fall. That's part of what makes a good practice challenging. Release the leg and bring the foot to the inside of the thigh, coming into tree pose, making sure that your foot is either all the way above your knee or all the way below your knee. No pressure on your knee whatsoever. From tree pose, take that floating leg and extend it behind you for warrior three. So your standing leg is probably feeling quite tired right about now. That's okay. We're almost there. Rise back up to mountain and hands come back to your heart center. Take a big breath and then find your balance on the other side. Maybe just picking up the knee and holding it there, or maybe grabbing a hold of the big toe and extending the front leg, trying to keep the shoulder in its socket and trying to keep the upper body as upright as possible. Take the floating leg out to the side. Use your other arm for balance. And then release the floating leg, bringing the foot to the inside of the thigh or calf for tree pose. Hands over the head for more of a challenge. Bring the hands back to your heart. And then you're going to shift the upper body forward, extend the arms forward, floating leg behind you, warrior three. Almost there. Tilt the upper body up and release the foot to the ground, mountain. Trying that again. Find your balance, switching sides again, so you're back to your first side. Grab a hold of the big toe, reach it out, making sure you're not hunching over with the upper body. Try to keep the upper body as tall as possible. Swinging the floating leg out to the side. You already know what's coming, so you can really challenge yourself here. Release the inside of the foot to tree, making sure you're not putting any pressure on the standing leg, the knee of the standing leg. Don't you feel so much more confident on the second side? You know what's coming. You know it's okay if you fall. Just find your balance and start again. Shift to warrior three, upper body comes flat to the ground, extending the floating leg straight out behind you, flexing the foot, big toe rolls towards the ground, and then slowly tilt back up, hands come to your heart, mountain. One more time, other side. Pick up your other foot. You can keep the knee bent, or you can go ahead and reach for the big toe. The biggest thing that I found that helps in the yogi toe lock is if you really press your toe into your fingers. I struggled with that for the longest time, but once I was able to not just rely on the grip strength that I had in my hand and also focus on pushing the toe against the fingers, that really helped me. Go ahead and float that leg out to the side, using your opposite hand for balance. Again, trying not to collapse the upper body towards the floating leg. Release the sole of the foot to the inside of the thigh, tree pose. Take a breath here. The standing leg is still active and possibly tired, but it's a little bit easier to balance in tree. And then challenge yourself by transitioning to warrior 3. Reaching the fingertips as long as you can out in front of you. If you need to, you can bring them behind you or to airplane arms to make it a little easier. And you are all done. Tilt yourself back up to mountain and say, good job. Those balancing poses are very challenging. Go ahead and make your way back to forward fold. And maybe walk the knees out. You shouldn't be locking your knee in any of the balancing poses, but either way, walk them out. Make sure your knees feel lots of love after that challenging balancing sequence. And then we're going to gently step back to plank. And we're going to play with plank here for a little bit. So start by finding a nice long body, reach out through your heels, squeeze the belly button to the spine to support yourself, and then try to pick up one hand, reach it straight out in front of you without rocking over to the side too much. Go ahead and roll over to the side of that back foot and come into side plank. Maybe try to pick up the top leg. You can grab a hold of the toe, you can float the leg, you can come into tree, come back to plank, soften the knees, and find child's pose. So you can make this as challenging or as easy as works for you. You can stay on the knees if it's too much, or you can try some of the more challenging variations. Opposite arm comes up. Pretend like you're reaching out to shake the hand of someone in front of you, and then roll over to the outside edge of the opposite foot, coming into side plank. To make this easier, you can drop the bottom knee to the ground, or you can try picking up the leg, the top leg, and floating it. Roll back to plank, and then soften the knees, push back to child's pose. Lots of opportunity there for either a lot of challenge or a little bit of recovery. Come back to table and take a couple cat-cows here, mostly just to catch your breath and to mark the transition from your flow, from something that might be a little bit more challenging, get your blood pumping, to a little bit more stretching, lengthening the body. Go ahead and cross the shins and roll back to a seated position. And we're going to extend the legs out towards the side as much as feels comfortable for you, making sure that when you flex the feet, the toes are pointed straight to the sky. Inhale the hands to the sky, and then exhale, fold forward. And I want you to just come as far forward as feels comfortable for you. We're not reaching. Take a big inhale, lengthen through the crown of the head, and then on an exhale, just simply relax a little farther forward. Go ahead and walk your hands over to one side, and we'll take that same breath again, inhaling to lengthen, then exhale, just relax over the leg, trying to align your sternum with the top of the thigh. Now we're going to open it up, so take the elbow of that same leg and bring it to the inside of the knee, and then inhale the floating arm up and over, maybe grabbing a hold of the toes, or maybe reaching to the sky. The goal here is to have the shoulders continue to be stacked. Go ahead and roll that top shoulder over and walk yourself back to center. Take a big inhale. Exhale, relax forward. Notice you have a little bit more space. Maybe you can walk the fingertips a little farther out. And now walk them over to the other side, aligning the body, sternum right over the thigh. If you want, you can challenge yourself by grabbing a hold of the ankle or the toes and drawing the elbows towards the ground, really feeling the stretch in the lower back. And now shift gears and take that elbow to the inside of the knee and inhale, the free hand up and over, maybe grabbing a hold of the toes, or maybe just continuing to reach towards the toes, lengthening the side body, feeling the expansion in between the ribs as you breathe, and then roll yourself back to center and relax even further. Now that you've opened up both sides individually, you should feel a little bit more comfortable and able to reach a little farther forward. Walk yourself back to upright and gently bring the knees together, giving them a nice little shake. Again, giving the knees lots of love. And then inhale the hands up and over, and exhale, fold forward. And we're going to do a little bit of a roll as we roll back up to upright and then transition right into reverse plank. Palms are right behind your hips, fingertips facing forward, hips to the sky. Release the hips back down and bring one foot to the inside of the extended leg. Inhale up and then exhale, fold forward. Grabbing a hold of the foot or the ankle, using a strap if you need to, and gently engaging the arms, pulling the elbows towards the ground, shoulders away from your ears, and reaching the crown of your head towards your toes. So you're not just bending over the front leg, you're really trying to get a lot of length in the spine as well. On an exhale, curl the spine back up to upright, and pick up the knee so that the knee is pointed towards the sky. Try to keep that knee squeezing to the shoulder as you fold forward again, grabbing a hold of wherever you can reach, and gently engaging the arms to come forward. Release the hands and wrap them behind the back, wrapping around the shin, and reach the crown of the head towards the sky. Now, if you can't wrap around and bind, then just keep the hands firmly planted on either side of your hip and draw the chest through. Now take that bent leg and cross it over into half lotus, hooking the ankle into the hip crease. Inhale, rise up, and exhale, fold. And notice that the heel in the hip crease is maybe giving your organs on that side a little massage. Release and roll yourself back up to upright. And now bring the knee up to upright again, and we're going to take a little twist here. So you can just hook the elbow around the knee. If you don't have that much flexibility, maybe you just hug the knee, wrapping the elbow crease around. Or you can try for a bind. Gently release. Both feet out, folding forward. We're going to take just one quick breath here to kind of even out before we transition to the other side. Roll yourself back up to upright and then to reverse plank. And release the hips back down to the ground. Opposite knee folds, bringing the foot to the inside of the thigh. Inhale up, exhale, fold forward. Again, wrapping around whatever you can reach. Maybe you can reach so far that you can wrap one hand around the bottom of the foot and grasp the opposite wrist. That's awesome. If not, if you need a strap, that's awesome too, as long as you are feeling the sensations in your lower back and your hamstring. On an exhale, roll yourself back up to upright and bring the knee so that it's pointed towards the sky, heel planted in the ground close to your hip, folding forward again, maybe grabbing a hold of the toes, but trying to press the floating knee towards your shoulder. Go ahead and release, wrapping around the shin, maybe binding, maybe keeping the hands planted on the ground, and then inhaling, crown of the head towards the sky, pulling the heart through. Not necessarily the traditional variation of this pose, instead really opening up the heart instead of folding forward. Release and bring that foot into half lotus, and exhale, fold forward again. Maybe even wiggle the foot a little bit, feel the heel in the organs on the opposite side of your body. Breathe and reach the crown of the head towards the toes. Exhale, rolling back up to upright, and then coming into your twist. Now, if you are going to go for the bind, you can bind through the legs, or if you really have a lot of range of motion in the shoulder, you can actually wrap around the shin. But either way, you want to make sure that you're still in a nice upright position with a long spine. Again, don't sacrifice the length in the spine and the twist just because you're trying to bind. Go ahead and release. One more time, folding forward from staff pose. Finding balance between the two sides. Noticing you probably have a little bit more length now that you've worked on each side individually. One more breath. And exhale, roll yourself up to upright, stacking one vertebrae at a time. And then inhale the hips towards the sky for reverse plank. Release the hips back down. And we are going to gently roll down to Shavasana. Roll down nice and slow. You can keep the toes on the ground, or you can challenge yourself by rolling down from boat pose, bent knees or extended legs. Going as slow as you possibly can, realigning the spine by connecting one vertebrae at a time to the ground. If you want even more of a challenge, try to bring the hands over the head, creating that hollowed out boat pose. You're almost there. Go ahead and release to the ground and find Shavasana. I always find it fun to go from a very challenging pose like boat pose, or squeezing your knees towards your forehead and then just exploding or flopping into Shavasana. You do not have to make it that drastic, but for me, it feels really good to go from being very engaged in my body to being very relaxed and completely releasing my body. The juxtaposition of those two extremes feels really good for me. But you should do whatever feels good for you so that you can take a nice, relaxing, productive, restorative Shavasana. Now, once you've got all your little wiggles out, or if you need to take any additional poses, go ahead and relax and let the ankles really flop open. Let the hips open. Let your heart feel open. Maybe the shoulder blades tuck under you. And then focus on relaxing your face. Even in Shavasana, we have a tendency to tense up our face, so relax. Release the jaw. Release your worry lines in your forehead. And breathe. As always, feel free to stay here as long as you'd like. If you're ready, you can start to reawaken the body by bringing the knees to the sky, windshield wipering them back and forth. Maybe some rolls of your wrists and your ankles. Making your way over to one side. And then slowly coming up and finding a comfortable seated position. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. It's such a pleasure. Namaste.